Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, all right. The Sunday night game, Bears at the Packers. There's no line on this game because we don't know who Chicago's quarterback is going to be. Could be Nick Foles, who's injured. It could be Mitch Trubisky, who's injured. And if neither of those guys can play, it'll be Tyler Bray. So who do you like in this game?
Well, I'm on the Packers for sure. I was already tired of the Bears before the bye. They've burned me one too many times since I trusted them against the Bucs. That was the only time they actually paid off, I think. And Aaron Rodgers is coming off a very close, hard-fought loss to the Colts. He's going to be mad about how that one ended, too, because Marquez Valdes-Scantling fumbled the ball in field goal range, basically, for Rodrigo Blankenship. So Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be like, oh, we could have driven the length of the field and won that game because they had the Colts on the ropes at the end, and they blew a big lead. So there's just so much motivation for Aaron Rodgers, especially since this game, if the Packers win it, they basically lock up the NFC North unless they suffer a catastrophic failure down the stretch where they allow the Bears or Vikings to make up 3 or 4 games. And I don't see that happening. And, you know, if we're talking about Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, or Tyler Bray, who really cares? Nick Foles hasn't done anything with that offense. Mitch Trubisky hasn't done anything with that offense. Tyler Bray has stuck around in the league. I give him credit for that. But we've never really seen him play that much outside of the preseason. So if he couldn't beat Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles with how they're playing already, then I'm not willing to trust Tyler Bray. So pretty much at any number, I'll be on the Packers. It's just a matter of the unit count. And I don't really think that the Bears are going to score that much at all because I think the Packers are going to bring their A game in all aspects here.
Yeah, this is going to be a blowout. Aaron Rodgers off a loss. He's 32-15 against the spread in his career, which is pretty good too. The Bears are terrible. When they were 5-1, I thought they were the most overrated team in the NFL, and now they're 5-5. And yet I still think they're overrated because, like, first of all, they have these quarterback injuries. Nick Foles and Trubisky, if either plays, whoever that is may not be 100%. And if it's Tyler Bray, like, forget about it. Like, he's awful. Their offensive line is also banged up. They have a lot of issues there. So, like, along with their injured quarterback, they're going to have backup linemen protecting that injured quarterback or a terrible quarterback in Bray's case. And then also, like, they're 5-5 now. But if you remember earlier in the year, like at the beginning of the year, when they build up that 5-1 record, they had some close wins, some very close wins they easily could have lost. Like against the Lions in week 1, they had a crazy comeback. Against the Giants, they were one pass away from losing in a game where Barkley got injured. Against the Falcons, they had to have a crazy comeback, and Julio Jones didn't even play in that game. So if they had lost all 3 of those games and they're 2-8 right now, like this spread would be a lot larger than what it's going to be. I suspect it's going to be around 8.5. But if they're 2-8, like this line would be like 13.5, which is like kind of where it should be, I think. So yeah, like we don't know what the line is going to be on this game. If it's around what I think it's going to be, this might be my biggest pick of the week. I just think the Packers are just going to slaughter the Bears. Kind of like you said, like they're going to be focused for this game because they want to put the division away, and Chicago is the closest team to them. So yeah, this is I don't see how the Bears are going to keep this game close.
Yeah, and even if you're confident in their defense and you're like, all right, they're going to limit Aaron Rodgers. Like the Colts limited Aaron Rodgers last week and he scored, what, 28 points? The Bears are going to score like 10 maybe. Like they're not guaranteed to get to 14 points at any time. So, yeah, I think the Packers are the no-brainer. They might be one of my biggest picks of the week too.
Okay, the Fantasy Football Show, follow him. I'll subscribe to him actually on YouTube. He says, your life is on the line. One to bounce back to 2019 form, Lamar or Drake. Pick one.
Ooh, man, that's tough. I think I would probably go with Drake just because I feel like if teams adjusted too hard to Kyler Murray running on the goal line, for example, like he's done that a ton this year. I think he has 5 rushing touchdowns and like most of them are from the 1-yard line. And that might just be in the last like 8 weeks or so. If Drake got some of those goal line carries and got in the end zone, then you're talking like, okay, he's getting some touchdowns now. That makes a huge difference. So I think Drake could bounce back to that form just by scoring a little extra. And I think we've seen at least some flashes of, you know, better running ability against weaker defenses. With Lamar, as the season's gone along, we've kind of seen, I don't want to say steady regression, but more of a plateau and worse play with his offensive line out. So I think until his line is healthier, I think he's going to be kind of stuck in neutral. Whereas Drake, I think, could bounce back if he can get healthy and get more opportunities on the goal line.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if you were to tell me Ronnie Stanley would be back in a few weeks, I'd be like, okay, maybe Jackson has a strong finish. And like, you know, if Stanley were to come back in week 14, I could be like Jackson might win someone fantasy playoff. But Stanley's not coming back. The Ravens have injuries in the offensive line, and Jackson's just not himself. He doesn't have the time in the pocket to find Marquise Brown downfield. So yeah, like Drake is getting opportunities, and yeah, I think he could, like you said, he could score some touchdowns. So I think definitely Drake.